Most men will never hear what I'm about to say, and the ones who do will feel uncomfortable almost immediately. Because this isn't about dating tricks, confidence hacks, or how to impress anyone. This is about something far more unsettling. Within minutes of meeting you, younger women already know whether you are powerful or pretending. And they decide it without listening to a single word you say. You might believe attraction is built over time through effort, charm, or persistence. But the truth is harsher. The decision is made before the conversation even finds its rhythm. And what determines it isn't your age, your looks, or your success. It's something internal that most men never train, never master, and never even realize is being judged. Here's what should stop you cold. See, the men who are noticed instantly are not the ones trying to be noticed. They are the ones whose presence changes the emotional temperature of the room without effort. And once you understand why that happens, you can never unsee it, in yourself or in others. If you've ever felt invisible despite doing everything right, this is why. If you've ever watched someone say less, move slower, and somehow command more attention, this is why. And if you've ever wondered why younger women feel drawn to certain older men, even when they can't explain it, the answer is not what society tells you. This video is not here to flatter you. It's here to confront you, because the moment you understand what women are actually responding to, you will realize how much of your energy has been wasted trying to prove something that never needed proof. Stay with me until the end, not because this will make you attractive, but because it will show you why you never needed to try in the first place. Most men misunderstand what women are actually responding to in the first few minutes of an interaction. They assume attraction is something you ever do, something you demonstrate, display, or prove. They think it's about confidence as performance, louder voice, sharper humor, stronger opinions, faster escalation. But that assumption is rooted in a very male misunderstanding of psychology. Attraction, especially for younger women, is not built on effort. It's built on regulation. When a younger woman meets an older man, her nervous system begins scanning before her conscious mind forms an opinion. She is not asking, "Is he impressive?" She is asking, "Is he stable?" And stability is not a personality trait, it's a physiological state. Most men walk into interactions dysregulated. They are anxious but hiding it, excited but unmanaged, hopeful but outcome dependent. Their body is subtly signaling urgency, the need to be liked, the need to be chosen, the need to matter in that moment. And the female nervous system detects this instantly, not because women are mystical, but because they evolved to read emotional volatility for survival. So when an older man walks in and his energy is different, slower, grounded, unhurried, it disrupts her baseline expectations. He is not scanning her for approval. He is not orienting himself around her reactions. He is not trying to secure an emotional outcome. He is simply there. And that presence is felt immediately. This is why effort backfires. The more a man tries to impress, the more he reveals that he is internally unsettled. Over-talking is not enthusiasm, it's anxiety. Over-explaining is not intelligence, it's insecurity. Over-asserting dominance is not confidence, it's compensation. Younger women may not articulate this in words, but they feel the imbalance. And imbalance creates distrust, not desire. What they notice instead is the man who doesn't rush. He speaks when there is something to say, not when silence appears. He doesn't interrupt her emotions or fill her pauses. He allows space to exist without panic. That alone signals a regulated nervous system, someone who is not threatened by uncertainty. And uncertainty is where attraction lives. Men who need constant reassurance collapse when things are ambiguous. Men who are regulated can hold ambiguity without grasping for control. That capacity is rare, and rarity is compelling. Think about it. Emotional regulation is the foundation of leadership. Not authority, not dominance. Leadership. The ability to stay calm when things are unclear. To remain steady when emotions fluctuate. to respond instead of react. This is not learned through dating tactics. It's learned through life, through failure, loss, responsibility, and reflection, which is why age can be an advantage only if maturity has been integrated. A younger woman senses this immediately. Her body feels calmer around him. Her breathing slows. Her mind quiets. She doesn't experience the subtle pressure she's used to. The pressure to perform, to please, to manage the man's emotional state. And when that pressure is absent, curiosity emerges. She starts wondering, why does he feel different? Not exciting in a chaotic way, not intoxicating in a reckless way, different in a stabilizing way. This is where men get confused. They think attraction must feel intense at first, but intensity is often just nervous systems colliding. What she's responding to here is coherence. His internal state is aligned. There's no contradiction between what he says, how he says it, and how he holds himself. That coherence creates trust before desire. And trust is not boring. Trust is grounding. And grounding allows desire to deepen rather than burn out. Most men don't realize that younger women are exhausted by emotional labor, by managing men's moods, by reassuring men's insecurities, by absorbing men's unspoken anxieties. So when she encounters a man who is emotionally self-contained, she experiences relief. And relief is attractive. This man does not lean forward energetically trying to win her. He leans back into himself. He is not passive, but he is not chasing. His attention is clean, not sticky, not demanding. He listens fully, but he does not over-invest prematurely. That balance is what makes him noticeable, because he doesn't need the interaction to go anywhere. And paradoxically, that makes it go somewhere. Emotional regulation also means he doesn't mirror her chaos. If she's playful, he doesn't become juvenile. If she's guarded, he doesn't push. If she's uncertain, he doesn't collapse. He remains himself across emotional states. Consistency creates safety. Safety creates openness. This is why younger women often say they feel seen by older men like this, even when those men say very little. Being seen is not about attention. It's about being with someone who is not projecting onto you, someone who is not trying to extract something from you, someone whose presence does not distort the space. And that is felt immediately, within minutes, because nervous systems communicate faster than words. This is also why confidence cannot be faked long-term. You can memorize lines, you can copy body language, you can perform alpha behaviors, but you cannot fake regulation. Underneath the surface, the body always tells the truth, and women are tuned to that truth. So the older man who is noticed is not calm because he wants to attract. He attracts because he is calm. His life is not centered around validation. He has direction, meaning, and internal order. And when a man has internal order, his presence brings order to the space around him. That's what she's responding to. Not age, not status, not charm, but the rare experience of being around a man who is not emotionally needy, not internally rushed, not unconsciously asking her to regulate him. And here's the part that matters most. This is not something you turn on in dating. This is who you become. Emotional regulation is built when a man stops outsourcing his self-worth to external reactions, when he stops chasing affirmation and starts building internal stability, when he learns to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it, when he becomes responsible for his own emotional state. That work changes how you walk into rooms, how you speak, how you wait, how you look at people, and people feel it before they understand it. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this: attraction begins where desperation ends. Calm is not passive, stillness is not weak, and regulation is not boring. It is power under control. And once you cultivate that, you won't need to be noticed. You will be felt. Once emotional regulation is present, something subtle but powerful begins to happen. The man no longer needs to announce himself. His presence carries weight without force. This is where psychological gravity comes in, and it's built through silence and restraint, not dominance or display. Most men are uncomfortable with silence. The moment a pause appears, they rush to fill it. They talk more, explain more, joke more, reveal more. They believe momentum equals interest. In reality, what they are revealing is internal tension. Silence exposes insecurity, and insecurity scrambles for noise. An older man who is noticed within minutes does the opposite. He allows silence to exist, not awkwardly, not as a tactic, but naturally, because he is not afraid of what silence might reveal. He is comfortable being unoccupied by performance. That comfort changes the emotional temperature of the interaction. Silence, when held by a regulated man, becomes grounding rather than awkward. It slows the pace. It gives the interaction depth. It creates contrast in a world where most conversations are rushed and overstimulated. And contrast is what draws attention. This is where restraint becomes misunderstood. People assume restraint means withholding, being distant, or emotionally closed, but that's not what's happening here. Restraint is not absence. It is containment. It is choosing when and how to engage rather than reacting impulsively. A man with psychological gravity does not say everything he thinks. He does not correct every point. He does not rush to display intelligence. He understands that wisdom doesn't need to be proven. It reveals itself through timing. He speaks when his words add clarity, not when they relieve his anxiety. And that difference is felt. When he listens fully, not waiting for his turn to speak, not scanning for opportunities to impress, but actually receiving what is being said. That quality of attention is rare, and rarity creates value. Younger women notice this because they are used to being talked at, not listened to. They are used to men using conversation as a means to position themselves. When a man listens without agenda, it disarms defenses. It creates a sense of being respected rather than managed. This man does not lean forward energetically trying to capture interest. His posture is relaxed. His movements are economical. His eye contact is steady but unforced. He does not stare to dominate, nor does he avoid to protect himself. He simply stays present. Presence is powerful because it is undivided. Most people are half present, half performing, half thinking ahead. When someone is fully there, it creates psychological weight. The interaction slows down around them. People unconsciously orient toward that energy. This is psychological gravity. It's why a calm person can quiet a room without speaking. It's why a composed leader can command attention without demanding it. It's why a grounded man stands out among men who are trying too hard. Restraint also shows up in emotional reactions. This man does not overact to flirtation, nor does he become cold when interest fluctuates. He does not reward unpredictability or punish uncertainty. He remains consistent. Consistency creates trust, and trust deepens attraction far more than volatility ever could. Many men confuse emotional intensity with connection. They believe sparks are created through push and pull, through drama, through unpredictability. But intensity without containment burns quickly. What lasts is steadiness. What deepens is reliability. A man who can hold tension without rushing resolution communicates something profound. I am not afraid of the unknown. That message is deeply attractive. Because most people are afraid of not knowing where they stand. They rush clarity to reduce anxiety. A man with restraint allows things to unfold naturally. He is not outcome dependent. He is process-oriented. This is why he doesn't overshare early. Not because he's hiding, but because intimacy has a rhythm. And when that rhythm is respected, connection feels organic rather than forced. Oversharing early is not vulnerability. It's a bid for closeness before trust has been earned. Younger women sense this instinctively. When a man reveals too much too soon, it creates emotional pressure. When he reveals himself gradually, it creates intrigue. Intrigue is not mystery for its own sake. It is space that allows curiosity to breathe. This man understands that attention grows when it is not chased. He is comfortable with being partially unknown. He doesn't rush to be fully understood because he is not afraid of being misinterpreted temporarily. That patience signals self-trust, and self-trust is magnetic. He also does not interrupt or override her emotions. If she expresses doubt, he doesn't immediately reassure to fix it. If she expresses excitement, he doesn't amplify it artificially. He allows emotions to exist without hijacking them. This communicates emotional strength, because real strength is not control over others. It's control over self. Restraint is the discipline of not needing to react to everything. Not every comment requires a response. Not every silence requires filling. Not every emotion requires management. When a man understands this, his energy settles. And when his energy settles, others relax around him. That relaxation is often mistaken for chemistry, but it's deeper than chemistry. It's nervous system alignment. This is why younger women notice older men who embody restraint within minutes. Their bodies feel less alert, less defensive, less pressured. They can breathe. They can be themselves without being pulled into emotional labor. And when a woman feels free from managing a man's emotional state, attraction has room to emerge. This man doesn't try to dominate the interaction. He allows it to breathe. He lets moments land. He lets words sink in. He lets meaning build. And because meaning is not rushed, it feels significant. In a world addicted to speed, the man who moves deliberately stands out. In a culture obsessed with expression, the man who chooses silence becomes noticeable. In an environment full of noise, restraint becomes presence. So if you're listening to this and wondering what to do, the answer is not to say less artificially or act mysterious. The answer is to become so internally grounded that you no longer feel the urge to prove yourself. When you stop performing, gravity replaces effort. When you stop chasing attention, attention finds you. When you learn to sit comfortably in silence, others lean in. And here is the truth that stays with you long after this ends. The man who masters restraint doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. His presence speaks before he ever does. Once emotional regulation is present and restraint has replaced performance, something deeper begins to activate in the dynamic. This is the point most men completely misunderstand, and it's where attraction quietly becomes irreversible. Because before desire ever takes shape, something far more important switches on first: safety. Not the kind of safety people talk about casually. Not politeness, not predictability. Psychological safety. A younger woman does not move toward desire until her nervous system believes it is safe to do so. And safety in this context does not mean softness or submission. It means being with a man whose emotional strength allows her to relax rather than brace. Most men think attraction is about creating excitement, but excitement without safety produces anxiety, not connection. It creates intensity that burns hot and collapses fast. Safety, on the other hand, creates continuity, and continuity is where real desire grows. An older man who is noticed has learned something that younger men often haven't yet integrated. He understands that leadership is not about control, it's about containment, the ability to hold emotional space without becoming reactive, defensive, or destabilized. This man does not need to manage her emotions, but he also does not panic when emotions arise. If she is uncertain, he does not rush to reassure her to soothe his own discomfort. If she challenges him, he does not collapse or retaliate. If she pulls back, he does not chase to regain control. He stays steady. And steadiness is read by the female nervous system as competence. Because chaos is familiar, volatility is familiar, emotional unpredictability is familiar. What is unfamiliar, and therefore striking, is a man who remains grounded regardless of what enters the space. This is why safety activates respect before desire. Respect is born when a woman realizes, often unconsciously, that this man does not need her to regulate him. He is not leaning on her emotional responses to feel okay about himself. He is not subtly asking her to reassure his worth, his masculinity, or his direction. He is already oriented. That orientation signals leadership, not dominance, not control. Leadership is the capacity to stay present when things are unclear, to tolerate ambiguity without becoming impatient, to allow another person to exist fully without trying to steer, correct, or manage them for your own comfort. When a woman feels this, something shifts internally. Her defenses lower, not because she is impressed, but because she is no longer guarding against emotional burden. She doesn't feel like she has to be careful. She doesn't feel like she has to perform. She doesn't feel like she has to carry the interaction. That absence of pressure is deeply attractive. This is why men who are emotionally reactive struggle. They think they are being passionate, but what they are actually doing is outsourcing emotional regulation. They turn every moment into a test, every delay into rejection, every boundary into a threat. A regulated man does none of this. If a woman needs space, he allows it, not as a tactic, but because he trusts himself. He trusts the process. He trusts that his value does not evaporate in silence. That trust is felt, and it produces respect. Respect is what allows desire to emerge without fear, because desire requires vulnerability, and vulnerability does not appear in unsafe environments. It appears where strength is consistent and non-intrusive. This man does not rush intimacy. He does not accelerate connection to reduce uncertainty. He understands that intimacy earned slowly feels secure, while intimacy rushed feels unstable. He does not punish emotional honesty. If she expresses doubt, he doesn't withdraw affection. If she expresses curiosity, he doesn't exploit it. His responses are proportionate, measured, and aligned. Alignment is crucial here. His words match his tone. His tone matches his behavior. His behavior matches his values. There is no emotional whiplash. That coherence tells her something important. This man is predictable in the ours right way. Not boring, predictable in his emotional integrity. And emotional integrity is rare. Many men offer excitement but lack stability. Others offer stability but lack presence. The man who stands out offers both, calm and engagement, firmness and openness. This balance is what creates safety without dullness. It's also why younger women often find themselves thinking about these men more deeply. Even when very little has happened, the interaction did not overwhelm them, it settled them. And the mind returns to what feels settling. Safety also allows her to express her full personality. She can be playful without being judged, curious without being pressured, guarded without being pushed. When a woman feels she can be all of herself without consequence, emotional intimacy grows naturally. And emotional intimacy is what fuels desire that lasts. This man understands that attraction is not built by persuasion, it's built by permission. Permission for the other person to feel without being steered. Permission to move at their own pace. Permission to not know yet. That permission feels like freedom, and freedom is intoxicating. This is where most dating advice fails men. It teaches them how to escalate, how to provoke, how to trigger emotion, but it rarely teaches them how to hold emotion once it appears. Holding emotion requires strength. It requires not taking things personally. It requires not rushing resolution. It requires not interpreting everything through ego. An older man who has developed this capacity becomes someone a woman can lean into psychologically, even before she leans in physically. And once she feels that leaning is safe, desire follows naturally, not forced, not manufactured, not chased, activated. This is also why respect is non-negotiable. Desire without respect fades. Desire built on respect deepens. When a woman respects a man's emotional stability, she trusts his judgment, his boundaries, his leadership. She is not afraid of losing herself around him. And that fear, or absence of it, determines everything. So when you hear that younger women feel safer with certain men, understand this clearly. They are not choosing comfort over attraction. They are choosing the foundation that allows attraction to grow. Safety does not replace desire. Safety enables it. And the man who understands this stops trying to be impressive and starts becoming reliable. Emotionally, psychologically, energetically. That reliability does not make him predictable. It makes him trustworthy, and trust is where desire learns how to stay. So if there is one thing to reflect on here, let it be this: a man who can create emotional safety does not chase attraction. He becomes the place it wants to land. When emotional regulation becomes natural, when restraint replaces performance, and when safety quietly activates respect, there is one final shift that completes the picture. This is where attraction stops being situational and becomes memorable. Because what younger women ultimately notice and rarely articulate is not what a man does, but what he no longer needs. This is where emotional completeness enters. Most men live from a place of lack, even successful men, even charismatic men. There is an underlying hunger running the interaction, a subtle need to be chosen, validated, admired, desired. And hunger is loud, even when unspoken. It bends behavior. It distorts presence. It turns connection into negotiation. A man who is emotionally complete does not carry that hunger into the room. He has already eaten, not literally, psychologically. His sense of self is not waiting for permission. His worth is not up for debate. His masculinity is not being tested by whether someone stays, responds, or reciprocates. He is already anchored in a life that has meaning beyond the interaction, and this is felt immediately. Not because he announces it, not because he signals indifference, but because his attention is clean. He can enjoy a woman without needing her. He can engage without attachment. He can appreciate without grasping. This is deeply disarming. Younger women are surrounded by men who want something from them. Validation, reassurance, attention, access, affirmation. When a man wants nothing yet still offers presence, it breaks the pattern their nervous system is accustomed to. She does not feel consumed. She does not feel pressured. She does not feel responsible. And responsibility kills attraction faster than rejection ever could. An emotionally complete man does not turn interest into a transaction. He is not silently bargaining. If I give you this, will you give me that? He gives attention because he chooses to, not because he is hoping for a return. This shifts the entire dynamic, because when a man is not seeking approval, his behavior becomes authentic by default. He is not editing himself for outcomes. He is not shaping his personality around desirability. He is simply expressing who he is. And authenticity carries weight. This man is not afraid to disagree calmly, not to provoke, not to dominate, but because he respects himself enough to hold his own perspective. He is not afraid to walk away from what does not align. Not in anger, not in pride, but in clarity. Clarity is attractive. Confusion is exhausting. Many men believe they need to be more available, more agreeable, more accommodating to be chosen. But emotional completeness allows a man to be selective without cruelty. He does not overextend. He does not abandon himself to be accepted. And younger women feel this boundary immediately. Boundaries are not walls, they are definitions. They say, this is who I am and this is where I stand. And when those boundaries are calm, consistent, and non-reactive, they create respect. This man also does not rush outcomes. He does not need the interaction to turn into anything specific. Not because he lacks desire, but because desire does not control him. He can enjoy anticipation without anxiety. He can let attraction unfold without trying to secure it. This is what makes him magnetic, because desire chased is fragile. Desire allowed is powerful. An emotionally complete man understands that he is not incomplete without a woman. He desires connection, but he is not defined by it. His life already has direction, work, purpose, discipline, values, solitude, and that fullness changes how he shows up. He is not trying to be interesting. He is interested, but whole. This is the difference most people miss. Younger women notice this because they can feel when a man's life has weight, not business, not noise, weight, substance. A sense that this person has lived, lost, learned, and integrated those experiences into who he is. That integration shows up in how he responds to discomfort, in how he handles disappointment, in how he accepts uncertainty. He does not collapse when plans change. He does not spiral when interest fluctuates. He does not dramatize normal human dynamics. Stability is not boring to someone who has lived in chaos. It is relieving. This man does not need to win every interaction. He is okay being misunderstood temporarily. He is okay not being everyone's preference. That acceptance frees him from performing masculinity and allows him to embody it. Embodiment is always more powerful than display. This is why emotional completeness is the rarest form of masculinity. It requires a man to stop chasing identity through reaction, to stop outsourcing his worth to external validation, to stop measuring himself through attention. It requires him to sit with himself long enough to become solid. And once that solidity is there, attraction becomes a byproduct, not a pursuit. Younger women feel this because they sense that this man is not trying to fill a void through them. He is inviting them into a life, not asking them to complete one. That invitation feels different. It feels optional, not obligatory. It feels expansive, not constricting. It feels safe, grounded, and real. This is also why these men are unforgettable. Not because they overwhelm emotionally, but because they leave space. Space to think, space to feel, space to want. And what the mind has space to want, it often returns to. An emotionally complete man does not chase attachment. He creates conditions where attachment can form naturally, through consistency, presence, and self-respect. He knows that attraction built on freedom lasts longer than attraction built on urgency. So if you are listening to this and wondering what to do, the answer is not to adopt behaviors. It is to build a life and an inner world that no longer needs to borrow meaning from someone else's response. Because the moment you stop needing to be chosen, you become someone others choose freely. And that is the final truth to sit with. The most attractive thing a man can offer is not pursuit, but wholeness.